Oh, well, hello, gang. I'm Mr. Perich, and welcome to the video called Get Ready for Geometry. Oh, geometry. This video is designed to get you ready for geometry class. It's going to go over a bunch of different problems, so let's just get right to it. Boop, boop. All right. Before we can really do geometry, we need to know how to solve simple equations. Simple equations are one-steppers. The process behind these are very simple. Just try to get the variable all by itself on one side of the equal sign. So starting off, we have v minus 10 equals negative 9. Is v all by itself on one side of the equal sign? No. Well, how do we get v all by itself? We do the opposite of what's in the way. What's in the way is negative 10. So what's the opposite of negative 10 or minus 10? Negative and minus are the same thing, by the way. The opposite of negative or minus 10 is positive or plus 10. Plus 10. So let's cross that out. V equals negative 9 plus 10 is 1. V equals 1. That makes sense because if I were to replace v up here with 1, it would say 1 minus 10 is negative 9, and that's also a true statement. Second problem. Second problem says v divided by 5 is 2. I'm sorry, x divided by 5 is 2. Is x all by itself? No. What's in the way? 5. How is 5 in the way? It's being divided. How do I get rid of being divided? Multiply both sides by 5. Multiply both sides by 5. Cross u out. So I have x equals 2 times 5 and carry that with 10. And again, that makes sense because if I were to replace x with 10, 10 divided by 5 is 2. Is k all by itself? No. What's in the way? Negative 11. How is it in the way? It's being multiplied. How do I get rid of it? Divide. Divide everything by negative 11. Divide both sides by negative 11. 22, the Taylor Swift special, divided by negative 11 is negative 2. I'm a stickler. I don't like my variable on the right. This is technically a correct answer. I just don't like the way it looks. So I'm going to move the k to the left and the negative 2 to the right. And that's just the way I prefer. So you can probably see what's going to happen next. Is p all by itself? No. What's in the way? Minus 13. How do you get rid of a minus 13? You add 13 to both sides. Add 13. Add 13. Negative 8 plus 13 is 5. 5 equals p. I don't like that. P equals 5. I do like that. If you're wondering why I always move my variable to the left, it has everything to do with graphing inequalities, which Algebra 1 students should have done doing this before geometry. So, it's just a habit of mine. Why break habits? Ooh, is b all by itself? What's in the way? Negative 3/4. Negative 3/4 is in the way because it's being multiplied to b. How do I get rid of the negative 3/4 that's being multiplied to b? Well, divide negative 3/4? No, I don't like that. I don't like it at all. Instead of dividing a fraction, multiply the reciprocal. Instead of dividing a fraction, multiply the reciprocal. Instead of dividing a fraction, multiply the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal mean? You take that exact number and you just switch the numerator and the denominator. Keep it negative, of course. Why would we change that? Multiply both sides by negative 4/3. I'm going to turn 2 into 2 over 1. Why? Well, I'm multiplying a fraction to a whole number, and it's just easier to look at it this way. Reminder, when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across the numerator, which is the top, and you multiply straight across the denominator, which is the bottom, and you have a positive times a negative, which is a negative. You have 2 times 4, which is 8. You have 1 times 3, which is 3. Keep it improper. You should know from learning slope that improper fractions is an okay thing, because rise over run. I'm not going to change that. I always like my fractions improper. Okay? Okay. Let's keep going, baby. Ooh, speaking of improper, how do I turn fractions into improper fractions? Simple. Look at this mixed number right here. I have 1 and 13/64ths. How do I turn that into a mixed number? Multiply the whole number part and the denominator together. 1 times 64 is 64. Then add that to the numerator. 64 plus 13 is 77. 1 and 13 over 64 is 77/64. Okay, let's do it again. 2 times 4 is 8. Notice I didn't say the negative. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 over 4. Now introduce the negative. Let's do it again. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 over 2. Put the negative in front of it. 3 times 10 is 30. 30 plus 3 is 33. 33 over 10. Put the negative in front of it. Okay? Why am I doing this? Well, that's why. Fractions are great. Calculators are great. But calculators and fractions aren't the best friends. They have a hard time understanding each other. So I want to try to do as much as I can without a calculator, especially when we're dealing with fractions. Is n over here all by itself? No. What's in the way? 5 over 3. How is 5 over 3 in the way? It's being multiplied to n. How do I get rid of 5/3 if it's being multiplied to n? I'm not going to divide 5/3. Instead of dividing the fraction, multiply the reciprocal. So what I'm going to do before I do anything is I'm going to take that mixed number over here, 9 1/3, and I'm going to turn that into an improper fraction before I do anything. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 plus 1 is 28. So I have 28 over 3 equals 5/3. How do I get rid of 5/3 when it's multiplied to n? Instead of dividing a fraction, multiply the reciprocal, 3 over 5. 3 over 5. Maybe you were taught that when you multiply fractions together, it's supposed to be a 3. If you multiply fractions together, if there's a number in the numerator that's the exact same thing as the number in the denominator, you're allowed to cross them out. That's why we do this. And that's why we do this. Okay? So the 3's cancel each other out. What am I left with? 28 over 5. That equals n. I hate the way that looks. So n equals 28 over 5. Sorry, my terrible handwriting is bad. Writing with this thing on a slippery Chromebook is not ideal. By the way, Slippery Chromebook, my favorite rock and roll band. Next problem. 2 and 1/10 n. I don't like the look of that. So I'm going to multiply those two to get 20 and add 1. So I have 21 over 10n equals, oh, I don't like that either. 1 times 6 is 6 plus 1 is 7, 7 over 6. Is n all by itself? No. What's in the way? 21 over 10. How's 21 over 10 in the way? They're being multiplied. How do you get rid of multiply? You divide. But instead of dividing the fraction, multiply the reciprocal. Multiply both sides by 10 over 21. Multiply both sides by 10 over 21. Cross out, cross out. N equals 7 times 10 is 70. 126. And it looks like I can divide the top and the bottom at the very least by 2. So let's start with that. I'm simplifying if you're wondering what I'm doing. I'm dividing the top by 2 and I'm dividing the bottom by 2. That gets me n equals, let's use a different thing, 35 over 63. And can I divide the top and the bottom by anything else? No, I think that's, oh, I can divide the top and the bottom by 7. Oof, that was a close one. I can divide the top and the bottom by 7. So finally, last but not least, n equals 5/9. Ugh. Didn't like that. Didn't like it at all. Simplifying fractions, nobody's favorite. Let's move the face over there. Here, let me grab it. All right, hold on. All right. Pulling it. There, hold on. Pulling it. Too bad you can't see me in person. You will. Combining like terms. If I have 4 pickles and next to it I add 2 pickles, I have 6 pickles. So if I have 4p and I add 2p, I have 6p. Make sense? If I have 12 raspberries and I over there am adding 3 more raspberries, then don't I have 15 raspberries? And if I have $5 and then someone steals my $5, then I don't have $5 anymore. I actually just cancel each other out. That's weird. 15 raspberries and no money. Hey, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. I owe someone 2 xylophones, but I inherit 6 xylophones. After I pay off those 2 xylophones, I now have 4 xylophones. And I also have $11. So I have $11. What's that? Why can't I combine the 11 and the 4x? Oh, because they're not like terms. Remember, when you combine like terms, you look at the variables. Any variables that are exactly the same, you add the coefficients in front. So instead of turning this problem into xylophones and dollars, these guys have the same exact variables. I add the variables, or the coefficients rather, in front. I add the -3 and the 8, which combine to make 5. Bring along the x for the ride. And -12 has no friend. It's just alone. Like me. Just kidding. I'm not kidding. 3 times parentheses 4 plus 3r. Oh, distributed property. Distributed property is when you have a number multiplied to a parentheses, and inside the parentheses, you're adding or subtracting. I have 3 times a parentheses. Inside this parentheses, I have 4 plus 3r. What do? Multiply 3 to 4. 12. Positive 3 times positive 3 times positive 3r is going to be positive 9r. Can I combine those two? No, because one has an r and the other one doesn't. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times -5 is -30, and m comes along for the ride. Okay. 3 times 6r is 18r. 3 times 8 is 24. Do they combine? No. -2 times 1 is -2. Be very careful. -2 times -5 is positive 10v. -4 times 3x is -12x. -4 times positive 2 is -8 minus 8. -6 times 1 is -6. -6 times positive 11b is minus 66b. And now you're ready for geometry. If you didn't watch this video, you wouldn't be ready for geometry, but now you're ready for geometry. And since you're ready for geometry, a whole new world of shapes and rules awaits you. Until then, bye!